Hello and welcome to another episode of A Fresh Perspective here on Heavenward Thinking. Today we're continuing on in Luke chapter 12. We're going to be looking at verses 49 through 53, so I'll read it and we'll get right into this week's discussion. I have come to bring fire on the earth, and how I wish it were already kindled. But I have a baptism to undergo, and what constraint I am under until it is completed. Do you think I came to bring peace on earth? No, I tell you, but division. From now on there will be 5 in one family divided against each other, 3 against 2, and 2 against 3. They will be divided, father against son, and son against father, mother against daughter, and daughter against mother, mother-in-law against daughter-in-law, and daughter-in-law against mother-in-law. So as we look at this really encouraging section here, what can we see with a fresh perspective today?
About the whole thing.
Yes.
Listen, this goes against the entire narrative of how we try to sell Jesus, right? This actually goes against the whole family time stuff. This goes against the whole family is more important than church, and it goes against everything that we believe and what we've made church out to be.
Mm-hmm.
Right? The whole idea about the gospel is that it divides, right? It divides on purpose. Jesus isn't trying to divide family up, right? But he also, there's a portion of scripture that talks about when his mother and brothers come to get him, and he said, "Who's my family?" Right? So Jesus here, the fresh perspective is, if you're living a Christ-filled life, right? So this is where you get on the soapbox for a second and you say, there are people who are church people, right? They look like good church people. But that may not mean that they are good Christ people, that they look like Christ. They look like church. And Jesus said, people who look like me are divisive in nature. So if you're in a church, if you're in a small group, if your own testimony does not get you pushback at points, right? If you are not by nature dividing, because you're going to have to tell people, no, I can't do that. No, I don't want to do that. No, then you're probably not living a Christ-filled life. You might be a really, really good church person.
Absolutely. Yeah, I think this section is something that we tend to avoid, we skip over, or we just say it must be taken out of context or something, because we don't like the teaching. Like you said, it flies in the face of everything that we've created in our modern-day Christian culture of church, because we think that the family is the most important thing, that nothing can come before our family time, that nothing can come between our family members, that they're more important, and if I just love my family, that's where it ends, that's what's important, that God's going to be okay with that if I prioritize my family. And what Jesus is showing here is clearly that's not true. Clearly he wants us to follow him first, and we've seen that throughout the book of Luke, and we're going to continue to see it throughout the book of Luke, that Jesus often, when he encourages people or challenges people to follow him, there comes a cost where they have to leave behind their family or their friends or their workplaces or whatever it is. They have to leave something behind. They have that moment of division that they have to leave behind something else, or other people push back against them because what they're doing is all of a sudden radical by following Jesus. And we see there's a cost to following Jesus. We've covered that at length. And once again, we're reminded of that in this passage.
Yeah, that cost isn't going to be convenient. It's not going to make you figure. Listen, we talk about this every Christmas time, right? Do you have to be in church Christmas Eve, Christmas Day, in order to be a good Christian? Nope, you don't. As a matter of fact, there are a lot of people who go to church on those days that are just being good church people. But should you be willing to make a stand on Christmas, that means I'm going to celebrate Christ and his birthday, right? Not just I'm gonna use this as an opportunity to celebrate with my family, right? A Christ follower celebrates Christ, does Christ-likeness things, right? Which means that you're going to be at odds sometimes with your family. You know how many times people are asked, hey, can you go with us to this? You're like, no, it's Sunday morning, it's church. Does that mean that church is the most important thing? No. But when else are you during the week going to celebrate Jesus? When are you going to give to Jesus what he wants? We're always stealing, right, from God when we don't have enough time on our own, or we don't want to sacrifice our own time. If people ask you on a Sunday morning to do something with them and they know you go to church, that's just simply saying to you, I don't want to sacrifice my time. I want you to sacrifice your time. That's not appropriate. No, nor is it leading to Christ-likeness. What Jesus says here is super, super clear, right? If you do not choose him first, you're going to have a problem. You're going to be at odds with him. That's problematic.
Absolutely, yeah. And it's the theme that we've seen all throughout this chapter, and really all throughout the book of Luke that we've gone through, is that Jesus wants you and I to choose him above everything else, to be willing to die to ourselves, as we saw in Luke chapter 9. We've seen him repeatedly challenge people to follow him and turn immediately from wherever they are, whatever they're doing, turn to him and drop everything and follow him. And then we have somehow, over 2,000 years, changed that to if I just give God 1 hour on Sunday mornings, then I'm fine. Or maybe I'll do a little bit of devotional each day, but that's it. And that's somehow we've completely lost sight of we're supposed to be wholeheartedly following after Jesus, and then other people are going to look at that, and of course there's going to be pushback. He warns repeatedly of that. This section is a great reminder of even our closest family members are probably going to look at us, think we're crazy, and they're going to be angry that we are prioritizing Jesus over family time, over family events, or whatever it is in our lives. They're going to be angry with that, but what Jesus is saying is that we need to stay the course, follow him first. Hopefully, by our example, other people will be drawn to that and see, wow, we're doing something different. It really is important for us to choose Jesus first. Maybe I should look into that, rather than what we usually do, which is we compromise, and we hope that somehow our family members are going to understand, somehow if we compromise with them, that Jesus is important.
Yeah, so again, there's a simplicity to this, right? Which is if every morning I get up at 6 o'clock to do devotions, right? But then every once in a while somebody asks me to do something, right, at 6:30 or 7, and that goes to my schedule. If my response is, well, I'll do my devotions later, right? Well, then that's a problem, right? What's wrong, literally, with saying to people, listen, I can't get up earlier. And I have to do my devotions first, so can we make it 7:15 or 7:30? We would never do that. We just say, well, I'm going to make Jesus later. Right? Again, that you can idol worship devotions, right? You could be doing it for the wrong reason, not just so we can say we did it. But the point is, are you choosing God first, right? You don't have to go to church on Sunday morning to be a Christian, but when are you getting together with people? The Catholic Church made it super convenient. Hey, we'll offer you a Friday night, a Saturday night, a Sunday. You just fit it in when you can, right? We don't do that. We do one service, and again, how many times do people steal from God, right, in order to do their own thing, right, or to please other people? And that's what Jesus says. It's not going to be about it. I'm going to cause you to be at odds, and most of us, we think Jesus is just so much about family that you do whatever you have to do to please them because we're trying to win them over, which is really weird.
Absolutely, yeah. It's not to throw out the family, because there's plenty of passages throughout the Old and New Testament emphasizing the importance of family, but we need to make sure we have the emphasis on Jesus first and foremost. He takes the first place in our lives, not second, not third, not fourth. He needs to be number one. Our family can't be number one then. It's got to be Jesus first. And then we have to realize when we make Jesus first, we're going to have that division. And we're people who, by nature, it seems, we love to please people. We like people to be happy with us. We like to have everything just be nice and peaceful and ooey gooey. But what Jesus is saying is that's not going to happen. You need to know that on the front side. If you're going to follow me, there is going to be division. Are you willing to follow me anyways?
Yeah. Yep.
Well, we hope you've been encouraged and challenged by this, and that you'll join us next time for another episode of A Fresh Perspective here on Heavenward Thinking.